The following video is not made for kids under 13. If you are not 13 years old, please exit out of the video now. And please, YouTube, do not sue me. Hey guys, Mookie here, and I'm back with another part of What If Izuku Was Trained by Ryu Hayabusa. This is part 4. In the last part, they did the quirk apprehension test. Izuku got a higher place in the exam, and the last one, and the one who had the lowest score being Mineta. However, Izuku doesn't like how Mineta's being expelled from UA in general, and should have a second chance to prove himself by being in a general studies course class instead. As Aizawa saying that he made his choice and that he will be expelled, and that's final. As Izuku acts to propose a challenge to him instead, and says that if he loses, he can expel not just Mineta, but also Izuku as well. And Aizawa also agrees. With that said, let's get into this. As this whole class is surprised seeing this, thinking that this is insane, that a student is fighting against a teacher. Not only that, All Might, who's also seeing this as well, as he was prepared to go and meet with Mirio. In this what if, the person that All Might chose to be his successor is Mirio, and also is surprised to see Izuku, realizing that Izuku has a lot more potential than he thinks. Also, All Might and Mineta have a better relationship since All Might chose Mirio to be his successor and everything. I know some of you guys probably wanted me to give Izuku one for all, but no. I've seen the kind of level that Ryu can do even without having a quirk and just powers alone. So yeah, not gonna happen. Izuku is pretty overpowered as it is, especially with all the Ninpo techniques that he's going to learn. So yeah. All Might is surprised seeing and believes that he should step in if things get too hairy, especially since he's seen what Izuku can do, believing that but also Aizawa will probably win this since he's able to nullify quirks, is so people would think. As the two of them prepare, and Izuku asked Ida to be the one to tell them to begin, as Ida doesn't condone this but allows this as well, but decides to do it anyway and says begin. As Aizawa prepares using his eyes to erase Izuku's Ninpo quirk so he wouldn't have to use it at all, and using his scarf to bind him, thinking that he won't be able to use his Ninpo at all. But even without his Ninpo, Izuku is already a monster physically, and mentally, and everything else. He's able to, not only that, his Ninpo technique, even before the fight, Izuku brought out his wind katana, a sword that was given to him by Ayame, who gave to Izuku because thinks of him as a younger brother and also like a pupil as well, not just to Ryu but also to her as well. And the sword is now pushover. It doesn't rival the dragon sword, but it is pretty strong and can cut through even the hardest of materials, like any kind of metal whatsoever, if you guys have played Ninja Gaiden 3. And Izuku rushes at Aizawa with his sword, cutting through his scarf easily, like not even trying, believing that, wait, he's not even using his quirk? As everyone is surprised seeing this as well, that Izuku is just doing this without even trying whatsoever. As Aizawa is getting irritated, thinking that a student like this exists so easily, and wonders if this is possible, and wondering why did he come to this school now, and believing he could have been in this school as a child, but not even noticing Izuku was already close to Aizawa's neck with his sword, and Izuku saying, "I win," and the match is over. And everyone's surprised seeing this, and jaws are dropped. Shocked, even Bakugo is shocked as well, and is pissed, and is getting seriously pissed off, wondering how and why. And Aizawa saying, "I'm fair to my word. Mineta isn't expelled from UA. He'll be in general studies, but he would have to prove that he earns to be back in the hero course. So, Mineta, you better not let us down, or let Midoriya down too after what he's done." As Mineta says, "Okay, thank you, Midoriya. I really appreciate it a lot. Thank you so much." As Izuku smiles at him, says, "Don't worry about it. As I say, just like my master says, everybody deserves a second chance." After that eventful evening, everyone begins heading back and is able to leave school early, and was given a syllabus as well. However, there is still a vacant spot in class 1A, and I decided to bring somebody from class 1B who deserves to be in this class just as much, that being Itsuga Kendo. So yeah, Kendo will be part of class 1A instead of class 1B in this timeline. However, who's going to replace Kendo? Well, that will be Shinso, because he already had the highest points in the entrance exam, and was originally supposed to replace Izuku, but Izuku got the highest points due to rescue points and all that. So yeah, I believe Shinso deserves to be in the hero course. And yeah, so with that said, after that, saying Kendo is shocked to hear that she'll be in class 1A instead of class 1B, but takes it anyway and decides to go anyway. And Shinso, thinking that he'll be stuck in general studies, is going to be in class 1B, which makes things interesting. Which will be very interesting, since he's no longer the rising star of the general studies course. I wonder how he would still react, even being in a different class and everything. They were told all of this on the same day that they'll be on the very first day, still shocked and surprised and everything. Soon after, as the day goes, after Izuku leaves, he is caught up by both Ida and Ochiko, as they begin asking if he's going to the train station. As Izuku saying, "Of course. Well, I normally would take the back alleys, which is quicker for me, but I guess the train station wouldn't be too far bad." Soon after, Ida is kind of pissed at Izuku for going against their teacher and for fighting against him as well. That his decision was final. As Izuku saying, "I agree. His decision was final, and he made the right choice, if I do say so." As Ida surprised hearing this. However, the choice of expelling Mineta in general from UA wasn't. I can understand taking him out of the hero course. I can tell mostly by his personality and the kind of person he is. I can sense this just by their auras. As they're both surprised hearing this, that he's able to sense auras. As they begin thinking that's kind of crazy, but just lets it be. As Izuku's saying, I think people who deserve to be heroes should be in the hero course, who have the determination and the will to do what's right, even do unnecessary things if need be. As they wonder, that's surprising. As Ochiko says, that's That's pretty deep, Deku. As Izuku stops for a moment and says, "What, did you just call me Deku?" And begins feeling a little bit uneasy. As he says, "That's your name, right?" As he says, "No, it's Izuku Midoriya. Deku is a nickname that Bakugo used to call me back when we were kids, as a joke and more to demoralize me, because I used to be born without a quirk." As they begin being shocked, seeing that he was born without a quirk and yet now he does. To them, they believe, but Izuku is still quirkless. As Ochiko says, "Well, even so, I still think Deku is a cute name, and it's probably and it can be a name of a hero," with a smiling face on her. Izuku saying, "Whatever. But thank you, Uraka." As Ida saying, "Well, Midoriya, maybe you're right, but still, I think you shouldn't go against our teachers so easily nowadays. And it's just our first day. I believe that you even made Mr. Aizawa uncomfortable, and possibly even think less of you." As Izuku saying, "I could care less." There, the next couple of days, Class 1A got to know each other a lot better, and Izuku still has a really great relationship with both Ochiko and Ida, and also has a pretty good relationship with Kendo as well, since she actually found out that he's not just physically fast, but also physically strong, and is a pretty good martial artist as well. Even Ojiro thinks he's a great martial artist too, and wants to fight against him one day. Even Kirishima likes Izuku a lot as well, because he thinks of him as a true man's man for standing up for Mineta, even though he is no longer in the hero course. He still and giving him a second chance in general studies. Kirishima thinks Izuku is truly cool, but not only that, he still has quite of a rivalry with Momo, who thinks that he's creating weapons instead of summoning weapons from his storage ninpo, from his art of storage. And not only that, Todoroki even sees Izuku as a pretty strong rival just on the first day, seeing that he's strong and powerful, and thinks that he has a fire quirk anyway, but that's not the case. A couple of days later, a woman wearing all black and has a hoodie and with purple hair comes through the Class 1A's door. They're wondering on who this woman is, but Izuku can tell by just looking at her face once and realize, "Big Sis Ayame?" And with wide eyes, and says, "It's been a while, Izuku. I'm surprised you really have grown quite a bit." As everyone in the class begins wondering, "Hey, Midoriya has a sister?" I'm surprised as Bakugo screams out, "You idiots! This moron doesn't have any siblings whatsoever." As he begins thinking who she really is and how Izuku knows her. As she clears her throat, she says, I am your combat instructor, so all your combat training and hero training will be under my supervision. And do you have any interjections? Please speak now." As she says this, everyone in the class begins being silent as Bakugo prepares to say something. However, Izuku stops him just by pinching his neck and him just saying nothing. As she says, "Okay, good." Now, she brings out a remote and says, "All those suitcases have your hero costumes that you recommended for UA. So take them, change into them, and meet me out into Field Beta." As she leaves the room, and everyone is surprised seeing somebody like her who looks so young is their combat teacher, or even a teacher in general. As Kaminari begins saying, "Well, I'm not complaining one bit. She looks pretty well." As soon after Many of the girls look at Kaminari with glares of death into him as he begins saying, "I'll be quiet now." As Izuku is wondering why is she even here at all, believing that she should be with at least Master Ryu or at least Master Hayate and Kasumi, but just doesn't. But wants to ask her in private. Doesn't want to say anything in person just yet. However, doing all that, getting their costumes ready, Ayame is patiently waiting as she begins noticing people coming through the tunnel. As she says, "Well then, so these are your hero costumes. Now this is going to be interesting." As everyone shows up, and soon after, Izuku is the last one to come out with his hero costume, being similar to that of Ryu's. And that's it. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. Please tell me what you guys think down in the comments below. I would love to hear what you guys say. At any rate, and also like and subscribe, which helps out my channel. Well, this is Leon Mookie, signing out. Later.